Lee and Cheryl have spent the best part of 4 years searching Spain unsuccessfully for the right property from which to breed snails. So far, they've been dogged by disappointment, and the recent death of Lee's 102-year-old gran back in Wales has been yet another bitter blow.
We both were very close to her, and now she's gone, there isn't anything to hold us back.
Sure enough, they've now found a plot of land in a place called Zafaria that they both believe would be perfect. And despite the obvious challenge of clearing and levelling the site, a deal is struck there and then with English owners Alan and Lynn.
I think we talk the same language, don't we?
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Mid-December in Wales, and fired up by the success of their recent trip to Zafaria, Lee has just done an excellent cash deal on this caravan for them to live in when they move there immediately after Christmas.
We cleaned it, but I mean, that's all. Basically, I put new carpet in, and it's got heating, hot water, got a shower. Pretty good, actually.
He's also decided to broaden his business horizons, and with this in mind, he's found himself a new mentor, a living legend in the world of worms.
You haven't seen my video on Tommy Topsoil, have you? This goes with my snails, you see.
Welcome to Sorby Bridge, once a thriving small mill town here in the Pennines of West Yorkshire. The legacy of this town's tough industrial past is the outspoken honesty and dry humour of the people of this area. For anyone with an ounce of imagination, the atmosphere walking around these mills can almost make your hair stand on end.
See, this is a guy after my own heart, this guy.
Tommy Topsoil is the retail trading name for Wonderworms UK, and I have been a worm farmer on the bleak hillside above this mill town for over 30 years. You can come and spend 5 hours being absolutely fascinated with the potential for the future of worm farming.
Lee has long been convinced that the obvious complement to the breeding of snails is the raising of worms, and he can't believe his luck at happening upon such an inspirational video.
I think Tommy Topsoil is one of the guys the same as myself and a bit of a hero, not as in the same league as John Wayne, but I quite like the setup he's got and the way that he does things.
These 4 large beds on our worm farm are digesting up to 6 tons of manure a week.
But I mean, the guy's exporting worms to Europe, so wouldn't it be better to breed them in Spain and market them through him, but he wouldn't have to transport them?
Our more traditional markets are fishing, of course. This is our largest market at the moment, followed by soft-billed bird foods, and then our new venture, processed dried fish foods.
I'm well into this, well into it.
But a few days later, disaster strikes. An old back injury of Lee's has suddenly flared up, and for nearly 2 weeks now, he hasn't been able to sleep.
He's been in an awful lot of pain over Christmas, an awful lot.
Then 12, 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake and I'm up, and then I come and sit in here and I jam my arm down between the settee like that to hold it in place, you know.
It's frozen.
And then I put that...
And he's got to keep it on there till it goes completely numb, because he can't feel it. And then after it goes numb, it starts to warm up then, doesn't it?
That's right, and I put that on there. So I sit like that watching the television.
By January, Lee is in almost constant pain. His doctor insists on him having an MRI scan, but Lee has been forced to turn to more unconventional means in an attempt to find short-term relief.
So,
how are you doing, Lee?
Well, not very good. I tried to have the scan in Cheltenham yesterday, and I just couldn't lay in the machine. There's no way I could lay flat.
Right.
They tried it with my legs up and something under my bottom to try and make me that way. But there's just no way. It was excruciating, the pain, it really was.
While the root cause of Lee's problem can only be determined by the scan, Dr. Wong's skill as an acupuncturist has become a lifeline to him.
Still very sore there?
Yeah, very sore.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And how about right here?
Oh, yeah, I've got pins and needles then down
Just
there.
by doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now slightly tilt your head this way.
Oh, that's not too bad.
So you lie on the side. The needle is really for the pain control of the arm pain.
You can actually feel doctor push them in, but there's no pain.
I think that in his condition, the main problem is a trapped nerve. It seems it's a trapped nerve there, so the problem really is in the neck.
It's just relief because I just can't go on not sleeping for the rest of my life.
How's that then?
That's wonderful. That's absolutely wonderful now.
Come up slowly. All right, good. You can adjust now.
100%, honestly, it really is amazing. But Dr. Wong won't come and live with me, you see, so to do this.
Lee's condition is clearly cause for concern, and Dr. Wong is also keen for Lee to have a scan.
In the meantime, that it would be impossible for Lee to travel back to Spain and then to do a lot of groundwork in the farm, and that will not be advisable at all. It probably will aggravate the problem even further.
So it looks as though their dream of moving to the hills of Zafaria must be put on hold. The atmosphere between them at home has become tense. Cheryl may not be suffering physically, but she's deeply depressed by the way things are panning out over their plans for the future.
Being back in this place that I didn't think I was going to come back to again. Neither of us are happy here. It's just a bum place to be. And it's like a big step backwards. And I feel as if we're starting all over again, and it's very hard.
And the biggest worry of all is that what happens if I go over there and it becomes worse. I mean, this is what worries me about if we got involved with Lynn and Alan and Lynn in Zafaria. If I start performing with a shovel and a pick and what have you, trying to do the work there's no way. And of course, I think the stress of going back over to Spain, and we were taking a caravan with us. There's no way on this planet I can even contemplate bloody moving it, and every time we stop, dropping the legs and performing.
It's almost as if Gran was an excuse for 3 or 4 years while we were trying to go, and the excuse, well, not an excuse, but a reason that we couldn't go was because of Gran. And now Gran's passed away, we haven't got that excuse anymore, so it's almost as if something else has got to happen to stop us, because I'm not sure that he really, I don't know, whether he's frightened of it or, whether it's a bigger thing to him than it is to me, I don't know.
We're talking about splitting up, and I don't know what she's got in mind. We're just not communicating in any way, shape or form. We just don't talk. We just don't do anything. There's no point. It only starts in a row. And it starts off, Shell's become very sarcastic.
He's worrying about the fact that if he needs an operation, it might mean another delay. I'm worrying about that as well, because all I want to do is get away from here, but obviously I understand that, if he can't go, he can't go. So yes, the pressure is on at the moment, as it has been in the past, but we'll get over it.
Lee has another MRI scan scheduled for tomorrow, and fearful that the pain will again be too great for him to lie still, he's come up with a cunning plan.
I've got 2 knockout drops left that we give the dogs going over on the ferry. And it makes them dopey, so I could take the ones that give to Brandy. The same effect, the same stuff, isn't it? Bound to be the same stuff.
The following day, and thanks to the dog's knockout drops, the scan was successful. But the bad news is that according to the specialist, Lee urgently needs an operation on his spine. He's just been given a date for 2 months' time and told he must do nothing but stay at home and rest. It's the worst possible news. But 4 days later, and the unmistakable sight of Lee, Cheryl and the van is to be seen heading for the Spanish border. In his heart, Lee knew that 2 months sat at home in Wales would have been the end of his relationship with Cheryl and their plans for Zafaria. But he's taking an enormous gamble.
There's 2 discs have come out of place, and they're pushing on my spinal cord. And now I've got to have them taken out and plastic ones put in, apparently, which I'm a bit afraid about. But if I don't have it done, it's very, very serious. If I lift something awkward, it could pop out and go through my spinal cord, then I'm paralysed, of course.
So, will fortune favour the brave, or will returning to Spain be the most costly mistake of Lee's life? Back in Wales, Lee has been told he urgently needs a spinal operation. But in order to save his relationship with Cheryl and their plans to start a snail farm in Zaffaraya, he's decided instead to head back down to southern Spain. On the way, Lee has decided they should drop into this snail farm near Valencia. They've come here to meet up with Rafael, technical director of the Spanish Snail Institute and a man who helped them greatly on their previous trip to Spain.
Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you.
Lee has a pet theory that apart from Rafael, the majority of Spaniards tend to be called Antonio,
And you must be Antonio. Hello, Antonio.
Jose.
Jose.
though it's not foolproof. This particular farm is state-of-the-art, with both exterior and interior farming areas. It also has a climatically controlled breeding zone. But this is a picture of the outside area as it was, before it was hit by an unforeseen disaster.
They get some problems with moles, how you call rats. It's not rats, it's moles. He wants to buy 2 small dogs, then he will let the dogs
Live in there.
live in free here for to catch also them if some...
Moles aside, Raphael feels that this is the kind of operation Lee and Cheryl might well start with. So while Lee checks out the size and layout of the plot, Cheryl commits industrial espionage.
It's 120 foot by 45 foot.
We should ask him how many snails he would get from this area.
They could be around 250,000.
Oh, no.
250,000 snails would gross around £5,000, so they're not going to make their fortune. But phase 2 of Lee's operation, inspired by Tommy Topsoil, will be to incorporate worms into the equation. And he's keen to sound out his idea with this experienced local snail farmer called, reassuringly, Antonio.
This is the idea that I had, you say. I was going to breed snails on this, then put worms in.
So to move it on, say, like in stages, isn't it?
Yeah, so it'd be a 2-year or 3-year cycle. You'd have snails, worms, compost.
Yeah. If you are thinking of making a business with snails, stick to snails. I mean, if you want to do this compost by using worms on the soil, do it in a separate place. Don't mix it up.
So, unfortunately, Antonio doesn't share Lee's vision for worms.
This is it.
But he does take them into the inner sanctum, the carefully controlled breeding zone for the snail stocks.
See?
They lay about 100 at a time.
It's from 80 to 120. Depend on the mothers. If the mothers are the first year, good ones, stronger, they make more than 80.
Yeah.
And after 3 years, they start to be less.
No, so
And
they
many of them die.
Died.
can't attack.
Yeah, because
Too much sex.
Too much.
Having a year-round breeding area like this is not something Lee and Cheryl would contemplate yet. But they'll need to consider it for the future if they're to become serious contenders in the market.
When you feel that you feel already confident with your installation, you can control everything. You come to know everything at a glance because you have become familiar.
used to it,
Then if you tell us we are ready to go further, then we may do something like this for you.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, this is really good, isn't it?
So you're fascinated with this now?
I was fascinated when we first started.
Lee and Cheryl spend the night at the nearby village of Rugat, and by the next morning, Raphael has put together a bargain quote to help get them started.
And that is my price. So that is the price I will give to you.
2,188
Euros.
plus
IVA.
ITV.
ITV.
Plus
IVA.
plus IVA, which is very good.
It was lovely to meet you again.
Yeah.
And thank you for all your help.
Thanks to you, and keep care. Okay?
As an added bonus, Raphael assures them that the Snail Institute will provide a guaranteed market for Lee's snails. Lee is now desperately hoping that his medical condition will allow them to go ahead with their snail plans at Zafariah. He now decides to make a small detour to check out some log cabins he's heard about.
We're on our way now. We're going to Batha. It's B-A-Z-A, but it's pronounced Batha with a...
And why?
Because a friend of mine has bought some land and he's building log cabins there. And he's importing in from Estonia or Romania or somewhere like that. And they're very reasonably priced.
So the following day, Lee finally tracks down his mate's import business, situated on perhaps the most desolate, windswept piece of terrain you could find. To make matters worse, there appears to be only one Romanian cabin so far imported, and this is the size of a small exhibition hall. The cost of purchase also includes 4 Romanians to erect it, but although this cabin is clearly not finished, there's no sign of the construction team. Perhaps they've just been blown away.
So we go through now to the front entrance.
Yeah.
Right.
And this one's about, what, 180?
This is 280 square metres.
No,
This house.
price.
The price, it's about 160 sterling,
Oh, yeah.
give or take, depending what sort of kitchen you have, bathrooms, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
£160,000 is well out of their range, and even if it wasn't, neither Lee nor Cheryl seem particularly attracted to the property. But sadly, they're about to spend a little more time here than they planned.
And the draft-proof doors as well.
Yeah, they are.
Because they've got a lip on them.
Oh, yeah.
Now you look, just in, we can't get out.
Oh, Lee. You silly boy.
No. You've got one?
Oh,
She's got the key.
Bit of wood to it.
One moment.
It would seem that before they disappeared, the Romanians managed to put some locks on some of the doors, but no handles. Lee, what have you done?
They've locked us in the second bedroom.
I'll just jump out the window, shall I?
You find a bit of wood.
That should give us some fun. Someone just shut the window for
Right,
me.
yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry, girl. Don't worry. Trust you. That's the sort of thing I would do.
That's pretty good. Got one. Voila.
Well, that was a bit of experience.
Yeah.
Tuck your
Right.
pocket, you know.
So you've seen enough now?
I think I've seen enough, yeah.
Right. It's a fantastic
It
place.
really is.
By now, Lee and Cheryl have been on the road for over a week, and Lee has begun to suffer badly with his back. So just a few miles from Journey's End, they take a welcome break by the lake of Bermejales, near Granada.
This is a beautiful lake, this, isn't it?
It is really nice.
Well, can you believe this is February?
Look at it. I don't know, 70, 72, 70.
Because Lee wasn't up to bringing the caravan, he's hoping to rent an idyllic-sounding farmhouse near to Zafariah. But there's a potential problem. The neighbours and owners of the rental have a dog.
We've seen pictures and it's got a nice bit of land around it, and it's a lovely little house.
And it seems to be in a very, very nice area. You've got a view of the lake as well, so...
Yeah.
But we're
the,
just worried about the dog, that's the only...
Because Tilly's such an antisocial thing, and their dog is old, so hopefully we'll sort that out.
We're hoping that we can get over that, but if not, well, we'll have to move on again.
So they tackle the final, very beautiful stretch of their journey. But Lee is in pain, and he's apprehensive as to whether he's done the right thing in bringing them all this way. But by the end of the day, they arrive at the farmhouse, and it quickly becomes clear that as far as location is concerned, it could not be bettered. In fact, there are 2 houses side by side. The lower one is occupied by expat owners George and Lynn, and the other they rent out to paying guests.
Hello, Lee. How are you?
For the time being, Lynn and George have left their dog, Catalina, inside so as not to tempt trouble from Tilly, the smallest but most aggressive of Lee and Cheryl's two dogs.
No, but the minute she sees your dog, she'll just go straight for the throat.
Lee is doing his best to put on a brave face, but he's in a great deal of pain. And when he discovers that by a strange quirk of fate, Lynn is a holistic healer and physiotherapist, he wastes no time in seeking her opinion of his MRI scans.
It's terrifying me, actually. I've got to have an operation in April, and he wants to cut in there and go down that way.
It's difficult for me to comment.
Well,
because obviously...
And I'm trying to get somebody to...
He wants somebody to tell him that he doesn't need an operation.
Well, you can have a second opinion. I mean, you could go and have a second opinion.
Lynn is understandably surprised at being asked to give Lee a consultation right there and then, and she's too professional to be drawn on the subject, preferring instead to show them round their new home. She's even prepared some food for them in case they arrived starving.
Oh, look.
Just left a few things.
Oh,
anyway.
that's really kind.
I wasn't sure what your plans were.
After their long drive, this cosy house could not be more welcoming.
Right, that's my room, Lee. Where are you going to sleep? Yeah.
It's comfortable and well furnished, with two good-sized bedrooms on the ground floor and a spacious bathroom.
Trying to keep a bit of character.
Oh, it's lovely.
While upstairs, the attic has been converted to allow for a third, single bedroom. There's even a pool, which Lee and Cheryl are welcome to use. Whichever way they look, they appear to be in paradise.
This time of the evening is lovely.
Lovely and peaceful, yeah.
Yeah.
Lee seems to have found them the perfect place to chill out and to contemplate their future. But now, it's time to see whether they're going to be able to stay. Catalina is allowed out to join them.
Tilly?
They're all right now.
I think they'll be all right from now on.
With an enormous sigh of relief, Lee and Cheryl prepare to unpack and unwind. But then...
Oh!
Uh-oh, quickly, quick.
Tilly! 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 No.
She's bleeding.
No, that's only a...
That's an old injury, actually. It just opens up every now and again.
Tilly! Tilly!
Stop it.
It's been a bit of a scrap and blood has been drawn by Tilly, but Catalina doesn't seem too fazed. An uneasy peace descends, and they all decide to give it until morning and see how things pan out. In the next episode, Lee and Cheryl start to get Spanish.
We've got some prawns, and then there's chorizo with peppers, which in my opinion is the best.
To our future.
So, this is to Spain.
Salud.
They make various attempts to help Lee overcome his back pain,
Is that all right?
I can't walk round with this.
Wait.
and at last they return to Zafariah, where Alan and Lynn's daughters put on a concert in their honour. Maybe it's just the pain he's in, but Lee finds the whole experience emotionally draining.
You feel a bit special.